I always try to find time for myself to, put a little extra work in my own thing. Because it's like, that's kind of where I do find my happiness and that pride I was talking about.
Connor Byrne, welcome into Forever Forward.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm good, man. Thanks for coming on. It's been a while since we sat down and chatted like this. It's good to have you back.
Yeah, of course, man. I love being back in Connecticut. It's been a while. I've been in Florida, and I just came back for 2 months, and we got to hop on the pot.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I guess we'll start there, man. What's it been like being home? I know, look, you live in Miami. You've been out there for a long time, and being back here in Connecticut is a lot different than probably what it's like being in Miami. So, how's it been?
Yeah, it's a different world. I would say I love it here. It's so quiet, peaceful, calm. Miami's just a bunch of boats. Monday, everyone's partying. It's a lot. So it's like it's not really me, and it's good to like be refreshed. Take time off and just relax.
Yeah, look, I know you've got a lot going on, and you have for a long time. You're always kind of striving to be the best version of yourself. But we were talking a little bit off the air how you're kind of out there trying to find your next thing that lights a fire in you. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, there's a book called The Second Mountain. I haven't read it, but I've just, heard about it. And basically,
buy it yet or no?
No,
you gotta get,
yeah, I gotta buy. But I've just heard about it. But it is kind of like where my thoughts are now. But essentially, it's about you climb your first mountain, you dedicate yourself to like one specific goal, and you go after it. You go all out, and then the next thing you achieve it, you're like, hey, and then like it's kind of like you end up in this valley. And you're just stuck there because you can't find that fire to climb that second mountain and devote yourself to something bigger than yourself. So it's kind of hard to find. And that's kind of where I am now, is like trying to find that fire that will give me that devotional hard work ethic to be able to achieve what I want to do.
I love that, man. And it's funny because I'm kind of was in the same boat before I found Forever Forward. Like I was searching to find that thing that lit a fire in me. And I hadn't felt that way basically since like high school, the few things I was doing there. What was the thing that first lit a fire under you in this way? Could you talk about that? Because I think that's a really interesting story that we probably should get into.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess my first mountain was playing at the U in Miami, and I started out in a D3 school in Rochester, New York, and I just wasn't having it. I didn't like it, and I felt as though like I was meant for something more than that, or I wasn't really proud of what I was doing then.
Did anybody tell you that, or you just like inside?
Yeah, you just feel it. You're like, I'm not too proud of myself. I'm like, what am I doing? I feel like I'm wasting my time. And it's kind of like I've always wanted to do this or that, and it's like I'm not doing it. Why am I not doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. And so what was that like in the beginning for you when you decided I need to start working towards something better?
I just wasn't happy, and because I believe I wasn't proud of what I was doing. And so I wanted to be proud of myself because that's kind of the main source of happiness for myself. And so I just said, screw it. I'm going to give it one more year. I did freshman and sophomore year there playing football, and I gave it one more semester in college. And I just said, screw it. I'm out of here. And then I went down to Florida, lived with my grandparents, trained for a semester, and then, played football the next.
Yeah. Well, look, I think this whole like pride versus happiness thing is going to be really important to talk about. And I want to talk about that because I think it's a debate that we should probably have. But on the training part, right, we're talking about having a fire lit within you. When you woke up every morning on that mission to walk on to play football at the U, what was that like, having that fire and that passion?
Yeah, it was honestly kind of exciting because there's a little unknown there, and it's kind of like you kind of remove yourself from the world and just kind of put yourself in this one lane. Yeah. And you're kind of just there by yourself. Like, I was living with my grandparents who are great. I know you've met them. Awesome people. But it's like, you're just there and there's nothing else distracting you. You're only doing one thing. And so once it becomes your world and like, once you're fully devoted to that, straight path, it becomes fun and it's an exciting experience.
But you were laser focused. Like it's the only thing that you were thinking of.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's where I'm having trouble now is like, I want to get back to that because I've felt that. And it's like, yes, once you're in that lane, you're like, you can do anything in the world, but it's kind of hard to like feel that way.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. And ultimately you did make the team, right? So what was it feeling like making a team at U Miami?
It was good. I mean, it was kind of like, all the hard work paid off. And once I was there, it was a fun time.
Yeah, I can imagine it was fun. And it's like, as you reflect back on that time, is that still something that leaves you satisfied or no? Like there's there's more to your life, it seems like, than just having played football, for you, Miami.
Yeah, obviously, I'd say in the moment it was awesome, and now it's kind of like, damn, because there's more opportunity to go from that, and that's kind of where I fell short within myself. Is like I was only looking at that one goal, but I wasn't looking at the next step. I was looking at the 2 to 3 year goal. I wasn't looking at the 5-10 year.
Well, and you achieved the 2-year goal.
Yeah,
but it's like it seems like that wasn't enough.
Exactly. That's kind of like the second mountain. It's like I got to the first peak, and obviously, anything, it goes up and down in life. And it's like I made it to the first peak, and it's like, oh, I'm here, yay! And now it's like I didn't look forward from that. I didn't continue going. So that's kind of,
for me, I have a similar feeling. Like even at work, right? Like I work all year for a bonus, right?
Yeah.
I'm striving for it, and then I'm happy for a day, and I'm like, okay, I'm not fulfilled, and so I'm, before I found Forever, I was seeking that next thing that I feel like could give me a lifetime of passion and fulfillment. But you brought up an interesting point about pride versus happiness. And I think some people think that, being happy is the ultimate goal. And I think there might be more to that. Can you talk about is being happy really what you're after? What are you after?
Yeah, that's a tough question, but I'll say, happiness, there's different sources for everyone, but I would say when you reflect on the times that you were most happy in life, and at least for me, is when I was proud of what I was doing,
right?
Or proud of how hard I worked to achieve something. And that it's in itself is sort of a way for me to feel happiness. So I would say it's hard to tell you what I'm chasing,
but is it it seems to me like you're not just chasing pure joy. You're chasing fulfillment.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I don't want to just, lollygag around, just run around. I'm happy. It's kind of a waste of time. It feels like,
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's like, what are you going to leave, on the world? And it's kind of like, you want to be proud of it, or at least, leave a legacy or something.
But I feel like some people are different. Some people are fine. They just want to be happy and they're cool with that. Yeah. My girlfriend is that way. She just wants to have fun.
Yeah.
And not to take anything away from her. I think that's great. I actually think sometimes it's a burden that I'm after this greater purpose.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. I would say it's like some people everyone's different. So it's like whatever source of happiness, makes you the happiest. And that's what you should be chasing. But at least for me, that's kind of for myself is I find if I'm proud of myself, if I'm proud of my work, and the people around me are proud to be in my circle.
Yeah.
That is what fulfills me, and that makes me happy.
Dude, me too. And it's funny, I didn't always feel that way as a kid. I mean, I guess everybody as a kid, just as a kid, right? This makes me happy. But once I started to turn into a young adult, it felt to me there was more than just going to parties and having fun and just laughing. It felt like I needed to do a little bit more to actually get that happiness.
100%.
So I think, I think one of the interesting things that you've been striving for a long time is your business that you started. And look, a lot of people from our area have taken different paths than you, and you're kind of on your own journey in a lot of different ways. But you have your own company. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. So what happened was it was COVID. We didn't know what the heck was going on. We were doing nothing, stuck at home, and, I was bored. And so, I've always liked to create things. So I, got Adobe Illustrator, started designing bathing suits. I thought, I had a good gist of what a cool bathing suit looks like. And I mocked these bathing suits up, talked to manufacturer, ordered some samples, and they came out great. And I was like, screw it. I just bought a giant bulk order of 300 bathing suits. And then,
incredible.
And then that's how it started. It started out of boredom. And I would say that's kind of, interesting to talk about, because it started out of boredom, but, a lot of people are complacent or just doing the same thing over and over again. They feel like they're wasting their life. And that's actually the perfect time to start something, And what I started, came out of just a thought, I was like, hey, I think I have a good taste of a bathing suit. Why not just make my own?
Well, and I'll actually even stop you there and ask a question that I think some people would play devil's advocate and say, well, I want to start this thing, but I don't know how to design a bathing suit. What would you say to those people?
Yeah, I would just say, just do it. The best teacher is, experience in yourself. And, I didn't know how to, do graphic design. I never took a class. I never did any kind of school or anything like that. I just started doing it. My fundamentals were so basic. I was just drawing lines. And now it's 4 or 5 years down the line. Now I'm getting better at it. So,
and I feel too, it's it also is a risk. Like, you have to be willing to risk looking dumb.
Yeah.
Because you didn't necessarily know how to do it, but you had to be willing to eat that to ultimately become good at something.
That is true. And I would say, like, at least for me, is like I never really cared to look dumb, or I just kind of like was just having fun doing it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of another thing about me, is like I just like to have fun and have pride in what I'm doing.
Well, you've always kind of been that way. Like, I don't know. It just seems to me like what the highest purpose is for you to be like who you really are.
Yeah.
Not to be like anybody else's version of Connor.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not doing what you want to do, like, what are you doing?
Well, I completely agree, but I think some people some people just want to do what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, that's true.
And is that a good way to live? I think probably not, but it is the way that some people do go about it.
Yeah.
I think, you are, from a career standpoint, doing what I think your greatest skill is, which is your ability to communicate. You work in software sales. Can you talk a bit about what it's like to sell software?
Yeah. So it's a lot of prospecting is what, people don't really understand about sales. They think it's like, just get your numbers in and you'll get lucky on one or two. It's not that. You need to talk to people who actually want to talk about what you're providing them. And that's sort of what sales is more so about, rather than just putting in the numbers. And that comes from the experience, It's like what I'm doing now is I've learned how to, find the people who want the products without even speaking to them prior.
Because otherwise, do you feel like you're wasting your time?
Exactly. Yeah. You're just wasting your time. So you got to always reflect, always, look at what you're doing and try to find, the better way.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. Even with this podcast, I used to approach it as just like, okay, what do I want to make? Like, I didn't think about maybe like what the listeners might want to hear or how I present certain ideas, but like, there is an element when you're trying to sell yourself or sell a business, like, how are people going to perceive this? And am I going after the right demographic? It seems like you spend a lot of time thinking about that when you sell these products. It's like, who am I getting in front of, and are they the right people to get in front of?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And I always ask this. I've had a few folks on here that have done sales or something sales adjacent. Do you find that you get rejected a lot? And if yes, how do you deal with it? And if no, why do you think it is that you don't really get rejected?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you definitely get rejected every day, like, multiple times. But it's kind of just like, you just kind of have to like ignore it. It's like they're living their own life. You're living your own life. They don't know who you are. You're just cold calling them. Like, who knows? Like, after they hang up the phone, like, they'll forget about you. You got to forget about it as well. Like, have a mind of goldfish is kind of the saying.
Yeah, just keep going, right?
Yeah, just keep going.
Yeah, but I can imagine, like, when you dial the phone and someone's like, F off, right? Like, you could just say, okay, no worries.
Yeah, like, all right, have a nice day.
That's so funny, man. Yeah, do you find that it fulfills you in the way that you're seeking, or there's still something more that you're after here?
Definitely not. What I will say is having this role in sales, specifically software and commercial real estate, it's a sort of one of those things I just have to do. That's how I see it. It's like, all right, I got to just sell this product for a year, 2 years. And then, from there, I can end up using it and for free or whatever it is, and yada, yada. But it's really one of those things, which I'm trying to, understand more so about myself, is finding that 5-10 year lifetime goal of mine, which I kind of have a good grasp on, but I don't know, I don't want to say it specifically because I don't feel, that fire you have with this podcast. But I would say I just feel like it's something you have to just go through, suffer, and it's one of those things that you really need to, do to, sometimes you need to make sacrifices.
Totally.
Not everything is not always, sunshine and happiness. Sometimes you just have to do what you got to do.
Like, maybe this is just like one step on the greater journey to you achieving whatever it is that you decide.
Exactly.
You not even want to do, but like need.
Yeah. From like a capitalist perspective.
Totally.
Even from learning, like now I'm learning how to sell software. Like, if you're in any job, you're working now, like, you're learning, whoever you're working for, you're like, you have the skills to do what you're doing. You might not realize it, but like the software you use, the tactics you use, how you organize yourself, how you operate every single day is actually very efficient. You're working for a good company or whatever.
Totally.
Yeah. They're pulling in millions, maybe billions of dollars. Like, you're learning how to do that from your specific role. Now you have those skills. So it's like, you're building.
I love that, dude. I love that. And I think one interesting thing, like, I get sometimes caught up in my day job too, like, oh man, I hate this, or I'm miserable, I'm bored, whatever. But like, look, my grand scheme, like I'd love to have my own business one day. And the way that you're laying this out is exactly true, which is like, you might not have your own business at 25 or 26, but you might have a job where you're learning how to run your own business. You might not realize it, but the way you organize yourself, like you said, the way you communicate, the way you sell, like everything is leading to whatever is next.
Yeah.
Right.
And you might be blind to it. You might not even know. And I will also say, if you're going to start a business with only 10K like I did, wasting your time, you need a lot of money to start a business.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even have that much money to like at that level, you know, to start a real, you know, income producing passive where you could quit your full time, go to that. It's hard to do. You need at least 50K to start.
Yeah, I think it's so true. And, you know, one thing that you brought up that I want to really put a pin in is this idea of immediate gratification. I think a lot of people, when they set out to achieve something, either A, don't realize that it's going to take some startup money, or B, you know, they think that everything's going to happen for them in a week. Can you maybe talk about, because I feel like you've been through this a couple times, where you strive to set this lofty goal. And then, for example, with Miami, like you had to work a long time before you saw that outcome. And there were probably days where you felt like you weren't making progress. How important is it for people to disconnect like the idea of having immediate results to wanting to achieve something special?
Yeah, that's, I would say that if you think that you're going to get an immediate result, instant gratification for something that's worth doing.
That's a good point too. Something that's worth doing.
Yeah. It's not going to happen. You're not going to be fulfilled. It's like what I'm doing now with the bathing suits is like, I've been building, you know, learning some months you can make revenue, sometimes you don't, but that's because you're working a full-time job on the side. You know, it's okay.
Yeah.
But it's like what you're doing is you're learning how to operate. Now I know all these different, you know, aspects of running a brand, a company, and the graphic design, sales, marketing, you know,
the legal side, like
all legal side, even the trademarks, all that stuff, you know? And so there's all these little factors of a business, and whatever, if you want to, you know, take your own venture and, you know, leave your full-time job, you know, you have to realize what you're doing now, you could use that professionalism you're using what you want to do. Like if you're going to start your own thing.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
Use how you operate there.
Yeah. It's funny. Like let's say you're 5 years in. Do you feel like you've seen the results, or no, there's still a ways to go for you for cool bathing suits specifically?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the results, but not like how I want to see them. You know, I eventually want to, you know, own strip centers, you know, in beach towns, and have my surf shop there, and have, you know, other, you know, stores rent, you know, pay my rent, you know, on the mortgage, all that stuff. So that's kind of long term. That's kind of what I see is like, because like I look at it like this way. It's like, okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing software sales. I've been in commercial real estate industry, retail leasing. I have this bathing suit brand. Combine them all, boom, you got yourself a strip center with your own operating surf shop. Like that's kind of how, like, it just like in my head, it's like the logical next step, or 20 steps out when I get there.
Oh, I love that. I never knew you kind of had that long-term plan.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. And I think too, like what you're presenting right now is like a very realistic look at what an entrepreneur is.
Yeah.
Is like, I feel like on social media, we think everybody's an overnight success.
No.
But it's like you work at something for 15 years and then you look like an overnight success.
Yeah.
Because then people start to find out about it.
Yeah.
You know, but like that's not, what you're presenting is what it probably really is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like kind of like the way I look at it is like, these are my cards. I've done this, that, and this. And it's like, if you put all of them together, this makes sense. But like, how do you get there? You know, maybe $1 million or $2 million in capital to be able to buy this like strip center. Right. So it's like,
and the skills to even know how to operate it.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it all comes together. You just have to have faith in yourself and what you're doing, and, you know, finding that fire.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to shoot a question at you that's actually not in the briefing, but it's an important one. So I live with your brother.
Yeah.
He's, you know, truly like a brother to me. I've known you guys for, I don't know, 20 years. You were very close with him.
Yeah.
You know, and literally best friends. I used to not be as close with my brother, but now we're also best friends.
Yeah, yeah.
How cool and important has it been to kind of have him in your life? And what's it like being best friends with your brother?
Yeah, it's actually, to me, it feels like it's needed sometimes, especially because, you know, no matter what happens to you, no matter how down bad you are, he'll always be there, like, you know, holding you, you know, holding you. And I think it's very important to always have, you know, gratitude, especially with the ones who care about you, because there's so few of them in the world.
And like really care.
Yeah.
Not just like, oh, but like really want you to see.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I'm sure everyone has found it out in their life. Yeah. It's like mid-20s. You're like, all right, this person can fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, oh, I thought they wanted this and for me and they actually don't care.
Yeah.
And that's fine. They don't care. But like,
exactly.
I want the people that are close to me to be a small circle of folks that really want me to win.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's important. I would say, I'm really blessed and I'm grateful to have him. And I'm sure, you as well. It's like your brother's a great guy. And it's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting for me. Like, look, your brother's older than you.
Yeah.
Mine is younger, but like I kind of look up to him in some.
Yeah. Well, he started his own company.
He did.
Well,
man, he left corporate America. I'm not going to out him, but he left corporate America and he started his own business. And it's funny. I've got a lot of folks in my network that are starting to realize that the traditional path is not for them.
Yeah.
And like somebody might see you because like you do work for a large company. Like they might say, oh, he's on the common path, but like you're really not.
Yeah.
I think you're doing things in a unique way and you've got this vision for yourself that's a little different. And it's such a privilege to be around people that are questioning everything and figuring out the way for themselves. And he's one of those people. And he's an example of like, look, he left his job in February.
Yeah.
And he's been working to stand up a product that's going to launch in September. He hasn't made $1 from it yet.
Exactly. Yeah. It takes time. Like if you're actually trying to make money from like a new venture, like you need to put like hours and
months, years
into like being able to have it to generate you that consistent income.
Yeah.
Because you have to take the income off of your revenue, after all the expenses. It's like you really aren't left with much to live with if you're going to make the full jump.
In fact, you're probably just bleeding money for a long time.
You are.
Right?
You are.
And also it's like, I understand how that could like crush somebody's dreams. Like, okay, I'm going to leave my job today.
Yeah.
And next week I'm going to have this great business. It's like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you had the business already. It was already making you money. Yeah. But it's like, you have to have that passion within you to want to keep going. Because if you don't have like an actual intellectual curiosity about the thing that you're starting, then it's like a soul crushing thing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And what I'll say from that is like, if you're still working that 40, 50-hour job and like you really want to make a jump and start your own venture, why don't you just look back in your childhood or your life and just think about like 3 common characteristics of yourself? Like, what do I like to do? Well, at least for me, it was like I like to create stuff. I always liked video things. I loved creating, music. Even like back in the day, I was like
DJ.
Yeah. And then like even just like whatever. I just loved being active and like making beats or whatever. So like what I found is like I was able to like just go 8 hours a day just designing bathing suits on like Sunday.
Yeah.
I think that's very important to like reflect is like if I could just put myself in the position, hire the people in spots to like have me solely designing bathing suits for 8 hours a day on Sunday, like it'll probably be successful. You never know, but I'm able to do what I want to do for 8 hours straight. Like that's what people need to find on top.
Totally. And also it's like, for me, in my case, I have the same thing. Like I looked back and I was like, okay, what have I always liked to do? It's like, I always like to talk. I like to conversate. And so it's like, my greatest fear is that this wasn't like a marketable skill. Like, I said this on my solo episode, like everybody's got a podcast.
Yeah.
Why could you be good at it? Or why should you think that would ever make you money? It's like, I don't think that you should start with what's going to make you money.
Exactly.
I should start with what you like.
Yeah.
Right. And then try to abstract that out into something that could be like a sustainable career. But even some people that, other examples are, I don't know, I loved to draw. Yeah. Or I don't know, I loved to collect Pokemon cards. Like, you can identify those things and then think about like, what are the core elements of those things that really got you fired up, right? And take those core elements and think about like, okay, what can I do professionally that would
exactly. Yeah, that would bring me what I was trying to say.
You said like your childhood, right? Like for me, it's like almost like a childhood sense of wonder. Like I'm kind of fascinated by it. I'm fascinated by this podcast. I get so excited about it. Like it makes me feel like a kid again every day. And I have to work on this. And if one day I could make this my life, where this is my job, that would like I would live my whole life almost feeling like a kid again.
Yeah, and that's very important. And then also what you said is like, people want to start something to make some money. You're starting this because you're like the king of small talk. Very good at it. So it's like that. But it's like
it's like, not even about the money.
It's not. Yeah, and that's how you know someone's going to be successful if they find that fire. If they're actually good and they actually like what they're doing, they're going to just do it anyway. And then eventually success is going to come to them because it's not an instant gratification. You're not just going to make a bunch of money. You're not going to, put a post up on Instagram and then money's flowing.
Yeah.
Like the first time I did a a drop. I thought that was what was happening. I got all these boats, cameras, models.
Yeah. How did that go? About your first ever drop? What was
It
that?
went well, actually.
Yeah.
It's like, then you have to realize you're running a business, and like that one drop isn't going to support you a week from now, you know, like even 5 days. Like if you run a promotion, like it's going to go away. And you yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like,
that's another thing too, is like, you know, one thing that's a little bit different. And look, like I still have a full-time job. So So like Forever Forward makes me go $0 for anybody listening. But it's like, you know, at least in the corporate world, as long as you have a safe, stable job, like you're going to keep showing up and keep doing the work and keep getting paid, because that's just how it works.
Yeah.
But, you know, with this own stuff, like being an entrepreneur, none of that's guaranteed.
Yeah.
And the only way to like push it forward is to put the work in to make it go forward. So that's like a big difference. And I think that scares some people so much that they don't even like take a risk. But I would rather live a life where I create kind of my own fate.
Yeah.
At least like call it 50. I'm thinking in decades here. It's like 15 years out.
Yeah. That's how you should.
You know, but it's hard not to, right? You work so hard on something and then you release it or whatever.
Yeah.
Like this podcast. And then it gets like 10 views.
Yeah.
And like 5 of them are me on my other accounts.
Yeah. But that's also how you learn it. And, you know, another thing that I would say is finding the people you could grow with and finding a group, because I started it myself and I wish I had like a group of people, because now I'm at the point where it's like I'm looking to hire, you know, some sales.
Are you really?
Yeah, I'm looking for my wholesaling efforts to retail. But besides that, like I need to find, you know, a VA. Like I don't like, you know, designing the website. I don't like making the flyers, the videos. I like designing the bathing suit.
Yeah.
That's really it, though. I don't like.
But that's enough. Like you like
in the orders.
But you like that so much that like you like it overall.
Yeah.
But if you could, like, I guess delegate.
Yeah.
Is the right word?
Yeah.
Then it becomes really powerful.
Exactly. Yeah. If you could delegate your responsibilities of what you want to do and just have you in that one seat for that one task that you just love doing, you're gonna absolutely kill it. I just, you know, you need to get yourself, set yourself up in that one seat, and then just drive the ship.
That's hard though when you first start, because you're every
yeah, you are, and that's what it's actually. It's a good way to start, because then you actually learn everything. So like if you are going to delegate and hire some people, you're like, all right, I kind of know, like I'm not the professional, but like I know what they're doing. So like I could have a conversation.
And you could help like give them guidance, like, oh, this is how I did this thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like for me, like I'm the filmer, I'm the editor, I'm the host, I'm the guest getter, I'm the schedule coordinator.
Exactly.
Someday when I can have a team that helps and free my time up to just do the interview part.
Yeah.
And also I think the business takes off once you do that, because then you can put all your energy into the thing you're good at.
Exactly. You get burnt out because you're working a full-time job. You want to work out. You want to see friends. Like you got to make some sacrifices. Like you only have 24 hours, total, like 7 days a week. Totally working 40, sleeping 8 a day. It's like you got to eat food. Like you got
exactly. And then in order to make something good, like you're gonna have to put the time in for a long time by yourself.
Yeah.
You know. And if you don't think that's the case, then you're just wrong.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I think that's an interesting place to touch on quick too, is like I've kind of disappeared a little bit from like my friends over like 6 months.
I'm the same way. I like just fucked off to Florida.
Me too.
Everyone from Connecticut to see me.
You just went dark.
I just want to see you.
Yeah. So, but it's like, and I think probably some folks in my circle are probably like, well, what's going on with this kid? Yeah. Like they probably see the podcast episodes, but you know, they don't really fully realize like all that's going on and make this happen and to still do my job and maintain my relationship. And, you know, those are like the most important things for me. So yeah, I think I don't expect everybody to understand. And some people might look at you kind of like, what's been up, dude? Where have you gone? What have you been up to? But like, if it's something that's this important to you, then you're going to have to disappear.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say that's probably a stopping factor for a lot of people.
Totally.
It's they
don't want to make that sacrifice.
Yeah. That's the number one thing is like, I never really, I mean, I loved, you know, partying in college, going out and stuff, but like really it's like, I always try to find time for myself to, you know, put a little extra work in my own thing. 'Cause it's like, that's kind of where I do find the happiness and that pride I was talking about is like,
exactly.
I don't find pride, you know, wasting it at a party or, you know, at the bar. I find pride in doing a good job at my main, you know, full-time job, but it's like, it's not like a lifetime self-fulfilling thing. It's more of just like it within the realms of my job.
Exactly. And there's like, you know, I say this to some people that ask me like, hey, are you having fun on the podcast? Like, it's kind of about the fun of it because I like the fun of it, but I wish that everybody could feel the sense of fulfillment that I feel when I do this. And like, it's probably the same fulfillment you felt when you were training for the Miami football team. Like, there's no way to describe like how good it feels. And is the word happiness? I don't know if it's happy. It's just like you said, it's proud.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like I'm using my skills for something that I should be using them for. Like, I'm not letting this life go to waste.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the whole point. It's like, I don't want to waste my time.
I know.
You really don't have many years, like, when you really think about it.
And I'm telling you, man, there's something about being like 20 or 22 or 25, like when all the excitement of like, high school and college and sports, like all that kind of quiets down.
Yeah.
And it gets pretty dark. Not like dark from a sad standpoint, but it's quiet and a little lonely. And you're like, whoa.
You're stuck in that second value. You get the job that your parents wanted you to get after college, and you're like, boom, I'm there. Boom. You think you're there, but really, you're just kind of like staying stagnant.
A little bit.
You're not looking for that next success. You might be looking for, a promotion or two, but it's like, what are you really working for?
Right.
You get paid out, you get your shares, you probably, make an exit, but like, what are you going to do after that? Like,
right.
Who are you?
And also, how are you going to feel? Like, you're going to feel good for a week.
Yeah.
And then back to the grind.
Yeah.
And it's like, that for me was a really important realization. Like, I never thought that way until I turned like 26, 27. And I was like, oh, okay, if I keep on this hamster wheel forever, like, I'm going to feel happy when I get my bonus, but I'm not going to feel proud.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, Forever Forward makes me feel proud. And this is like a mark that I want to leave on the world.
Yeah.
Because I think net I'm doing a little bit of good for the world. You know what I mean?
You are. I've listened to every single podcast.
I know you have.
I always listen to podcasts when I drive, and I love listening. It's like Mike, like talking on the podcast.
Dude, well, guess what? Now you're going to listen to yours.
I know.
Do you think you'll listen to this one or no?
Yeah, definitely.
You will?
Oh, definitely.
You might encourage you to hear the sound of your... Have you ever heard the sound of your voice on a video?
Yeah, but not like a real production kind of thing like this. I've always held off from like marketing, not speaking, because I just don't want to like hear my voice.
It is funny. Like, the first time I did it and I listened to my voice, I hated it.
Yeah.
And now I kind of like it. But look, anyways, we've talked a lot about, your business and your path and what you've learned from it. But let's talk about what's next for Cool Bathing Suits. What's on the horizon for you guys?
Yeah. So we have just partnered with Dry Pocket Apparel to bring the first ever waterproof bucketed bathing suits to America, which is awesome. But it's like, I would have never got to this point if I didn't continue trying.
Yes.
It's always an up and down battle.
Yes.
And you always got to like get yourself back on that straight line path. And if I never did that, because I've had failures in my business.
And that you could have stopped from.
Yeah.
They could have made you quit.
There's been so many times where I was like I fed into that, mindset of, I probably look like a fool doing this. Like, this has been like 4 years now. Like, I'm not like, this is not my full-time thing. What am I doing? And it's like, it doesn't have to be that way, because if you stop, then you're never going to get to this point. Now I have this deal with this guy and this company, and waterproof bucket bathing suits is something that, people have probably thought of a million times, just never did.
Nobody did.
Yeah. Until this guy came around and, manufactured them, and I hit him up, and it's like, I was like, I got to get this thing done, and we got it done. So now we're, it's hit the market.
And the greatest thing is, like, I have a pair.
Yeah.
And they're awesome. Like, first of all, you can't even tell that has a waterproof pocket, very low profile. It actually works. I went in the shower and put my phone in my pocket, and it played music all good the whole time. Yeah. Excellent. And also, like, this just came out of 5 years of hard work, right? And 5 years from now, there's going to be another thing that you're like, oh, well, if I quit when I was 22, this would never happen. Like, there's always that next thing. But if you quit when it gets hard, you can never reach the next thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. And yeah, look, man, I just want to thank you for coming on. This has been an awesome time. And I think people can, learn a lot from your journey, and hopefully they can take something from this one.
I hope so, Mike. Thanks for having me on the pod.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.